what is your net worth? So I started YouTube in 2023. This was something that I was always curious about doing, and I honestly kicked myself for not starting it earlier. So a little bit about me. My name's Andy Varnes. About 3 years ago, I got started in this photography, videography industry, and then from there, I actually branched into basically more entrepreneurial businesses. But I basically cash flowed everything of growing my media company, which is Varnes Media Company. It's a content creation agency. We now have about a 2,000 square foot studio that we use on a day-to-day basis. I'm also in a different startup company that did 7 figures last year. So yeah, I'm just trying to document my journey. Hopefully y'all can get just a little bit of knowledge from my mistakes and what I've learned of trying to figure this thing out. And our goal is to hit 600 subscribers by the end of the year. Right now, we are 100% on that pace. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe. All right, what business should I start? I'll take that. So I actually know the person that asked this question, so I'm just gonna answer it directly to you specifically. You're right now in college, trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. You're hardworking, which is absolutely amazing. What I would do is get into some sort of service area, because it's not like you have much money to invest in. Even if, let's say, you are trying to start a clothing brand, you are going to be spending a lot of money getting that inventory, and then you got to figure out a way to market that inventory. Instead of creating a clothing brand, what if you bought a Cricut, which is a couple $100, and then you start just creating clothes for other people. And then you take the money that you make from creating clothes for other people and creating different accessories for other people, you take that profit to eventually fund your own kind of clothing brand. I really think that at this stage of where you're at right now, you need to figure out, what can I use my time to get paid for the most? Right now with your skill set, all you can really do is go to a restaurant and you can be paid $15 to $25 an hour. How can you do something to where you're being paid $50 an hour? Is it learning some sort of copywriting? Is it learning how to video edit? How can you begin to start monetizing that time so that eventually you can have enough cash flow to where you can maybe buy a camera and start your photography business? Maybe it's buying some sort of inventory to resell, but you need to figure out some way to get money, start cash flowing into the door, and then you can begin to start building it. That's exactly what I did. I started with a $200 camera, and I did all these little mini shoots, and the money just slowly built up, and I could reinvest it and keep building it and growing it. Next one, how many businesses do you have? So technically, I have 2 businesses, one of which is Varnes Media Company. The other is a staffing company called Chef on the Fly. I started that about 2 years ago, more so like a year and a half ago. And both of them have been awesome to grow. I actually may be in the process of being acquired from Chef on the Fly. So that will be an entire new journey, probably by the time this video comes out. So if this is still in the video, that means it's most likely about to go through. But right now I have 2 businesses. I own Varnes Media Company outright, and Chef on the Fly, I am one of 4 partners. But I do have my hands in a couple other startups, but right now I only have 2 that pay my bills. What are your hours that you work? So working for yourself, it's obviously cool, because if I want to sleep in until 9 a.m., then I can if I want to, but in all reality, I can't remember the last time I slept until 9 a.m. Usually how my day breaks down is I'm getting up between 5:30 and 6. Honestly, on Mondays, I get up as early as possible. Sometimes I'll literally get up at 4 a.m. or even like 3:30, because I just have so much to get done on Mondays. But the later it gets into the week, the more I kind of allow myself to sleep in, but I almost never sleep in past 7 a.m. But from there, usually I get up, I have a cup of coffee, I get to the studio, and I immediately start work. And during the weekdays, I usually have my own personal time of getting a lot of the VMC editing done up until 9 a.m. Once 9 a.m., then I begin to work on the other business, and we have meetings and phone calls, and I'll kind of work on that for about 3 hours. Then I'll have lunch. From there, I will basically have meetings in the afternoon or shoots in the afternoon, or I'll be kind of working on some busy work. The afternoon's very flexible, and I'll wrap up my day about 6 or 7 at night, and I'll head home, have dinner, and a lot of times just go right to bed. What's a good starter camera? So a good starter camera, it honestly depends your price range. If you are doing something below $500, I would recommend something like the Canon T5i. You can get that for maybe like $300. I would start with something like that. If you're going up a little bit higher, you have the Canon 90Ds or the old Mark cameras. I really am a Canon person. I can ask about if you're trying to go Sony. Right now at this point in stage, I would either do Canon or Sony. I would honestly almost recommend Sony, even though I don't shoot Sony, but I personally think that Canon's slowly losing that battle. How long have you been into photography? So if you follow the channel, you're probably getting tired of the story, but basically I went up to go be a basketball player up in college. Before I even started to play a game, I literally got hurt. Like, it was the most pitiful story ever. But after recovery, I basically was trying a bunch of different things. Photography became one of them. I basically was involved with the team the following year, doing the photography for them, doing some managerial stuff, and it was a blast. I really fell in love with it. But that was at the age of 19 or 20, so I started pretty late in the game. What is your reasoning for having the channel, and who's the audience? So the reasoning for having a channel is strictly to document myself. I'm honestly not thinking anybody is going to view these videos, but my goal is that 10 years down the line, I'm in a better place than I am right now. And by doing so, I'll have this documented data of kind of following my journey. I really kick myself for not documenting anything along the way in kind of my first 3 years, because those were some really fun years. I was going from working on my part-time job to going to class, and then as soon as the class would get over, I would run to some specific shoot or run to some specific game, and then run back home and edit all the photos and get them all out to the players. And then basically it was this never-ending cycle for like the first 2 to 3 years. It wasn't until year 3 that I really kind of started figuring out this whole business thing. So the amount of trials and errors and lessons that I learned in those first 3 years that I didn't document, I really regret. So I don't want to go through that again. So if y'all are watching, it's probably really, really rough, but I promise you in like 10 years, I may be a little bit better. And then the second part of it, my audience that I'm reaching to, honestly, anybody that has that entrepreneurial itch that says, I would like to start a business. I wonder what that looks like. It doesn't have to be photography or videography. Again, I'm in a complete different business, but those skills can translate but skills can really translate. It doesn't necessarily matter the industry. Obviously, you're going to need to know the aspects of that industry, but knowing how to budget, knowing how to market, knowing the finances, knowing the logistics side of everything, those can translate pretty well. So hopefully I can teach what I've learned along the way. Okay. Are you losing your hair? Dang, that's mean. Yeah, I am. I'm stressed. I got a lot of things going on, but you best be sure you're gonna see the video saying getting my hair transplant or getting my wig, whatever. I don't know. Whatever, when it goes, it goes. Biggest regret. Honestly, probably one of my, I got two. The first one is honestly not finishing school when I should have. I left school when the Chef on the Fly stuff started picking up, and I basically kind of had to choose one. I was so jam-packed. I mean, I kind of told you my schedule beforehand. Now add in photography and then add in another business on top of that. And I was actually trying to do another business that basically just kind of fell through, but I was trying to do like 7 things at once. And so school and the part-time job were the 2 things that I kind of let go of at the time, and I was about 6 credits short of graduating. Really wish that I honestly just stayed through and finished. I still want to go back, and I plan on going back to finish. It's a page that was left unwritten. But the other thing that I regret that I honestly would suggest a lot of you to is that when you first kind of come out and you're going in this entrepreneurial thing and this kind of starting your own business thing, I wish that I kind of interned with a bigger agency or someone that had been in this industry for 20, 30 years that could have taught me a lot of the lessons that I had to learn the hard way. I basically have figured everything out with YouTube University and trial and error and basically just my own research. But if I had someone at my side that was able to kind of guide me, I feel like that would have helped me substantially. Okay, is VMC hiring? So we currently have 4 team members on everything. I'm always looking for people that want to work part-time, maybe if they want to learn to edit, but no full-time positions available at this time. Are we going into a recession? I am not the person to be asking these type of questions. I'm not an economist, obviously. I have no idea. What I do know is that nobody actually knows. And when nobody actually knows, that usually means that people begin to get scared. And if people are scared, that usually means people begin to pull money. And that usually means bad things happen. I do know some statistics. One is that credit card debt is at an all-time high. Student loans are at an all-time high. And random fact, but we had the biggest Christmas ever in 2022, which basically shows that it doesn't matter if people's incomes aren't changing, they're still spending, and they're actually spending more than they're supposed to, more than they ever actually have. So that's kind of a recipe for disaster. So for me, I am playing everything safe. I hold a lot of cash on hand. I'm not necessarily preparing for the worst, but I'm not being overly aggressive either. What is your net worth? Not high. I really don't know on this. It is somewhere between $1 and $1 million. I'll put it that way. Honestly, I keep a pretty good amount of cash on hand. If you throw in the values of the 2 companies I have, $100,000 or something like that. But for me personally, I generally try to leave everything in the businesses. Okay, next. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I have no idea. The ultimate goal that I eventually want to have is to where I can begin to acquire smaller businesses, implement technology, and continue to build them back up and get the cash flow out of them, and basically a rinse and repeat cycle. So at that point, 5 years down the line, maybe having 2 or 3 more businesses that are cash flowing at that point. But also I hopefully am still doing the YouTube thing, and at that point I have a bigger subscriber base. But we're gonna see how everything goes in the next couple of years. I'm honestly really excited about it though. 5 years ago I was 19 and I was just kind of getting started, and that seems like a lifetime ago. So in 5 years I'll be 29 years old. I have no idea where I'll be in that time period. Did the studio cost? How much did the studio cost to build? Well, I have a video about that right here. Who are some people that you look up to? So for this, honestly, I love YouTube, so I'm gonna name mainly YouTubers. Alex Hormozi has gotta be right up there with the top of them. He basically built his business from 0 to 100 million in a couple years, so I watch a ton of his stuff. Cody Sanchez, she's really big on buying small businesses, so I watch a ton of her stuff. Obviously, Gary Vee, over time, basically a lot of the organic content I want to begin to start doing, kind of some like day in, day out vlogs on everything. Graham Stephan, he's a financial YouTuber. I would go check him out. Honestly, if you're in Jacksonville, go check out Shad Khan's story. He's the one that owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. He has a super cool story. How do you get clients? So if you do not have a network to get the clients, that's going to be your first issue. If you only know 5 different businesses, then if they're not looking for services, then you're kind of out of luck. So the first thing is to grow out that network to get those clients. That is by going to networking events. That is by simply inviting people out to lunch. That is by interacting on social media, interacting on Facebook, just looking to build connections with other people. And then once that's all expanded, then you can begin to build that trust with clients. That's when you begin to offer services and you start small and you do a good job, and then you gain trust with the next person. Really, when things start moving is when the word of mouth business starts coming in. You have to think it's almost like a pyramid scheme, to where you do work for 5 people where they're going to tell 2 people. And then out of those people, then they're going to tell more people. I really give a good example to like realtors, to where the amount of realtors there are around is absolutely ridiculous. But where they make their money, where they make their business, is that word of mouth. They have worked with one person, they tell another person, they tell another person. And then 5 years down the line, they've helped X amount of people, but they have told all their friends, all their families, and you're getting all of this back end revenue from referrals to where you've never met this person, but you helped their cousin 5 years ago and now they're giving you a call. Your YouTube setup is dope. Oh man, thanks. But thank y'all so much for the 100 subscribers. I will do another one of these at 500 subscribers. So please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.